Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello guys, welcome back to Work Method and Measurement tutorial with DSKI Laboratory. Before we start the tutorial, let's pray together. Praying, begin. Praying, finished. In this tutorial, we're gonna discuss about work posture. The outline of this tutorial are: first, objectives tutorial, second, input and output tutorial, material tutorial, exercises and discussion, and the last is case study. As you can see, there is an animation of the image on the slide. It can be seen that there is someone who works in front of the computer and sits with a bent body position. The sitting positions, as in this picture, is the wrong sitting position. You can also connect to nowadays 4.0 jobs, that is, more office jobs are sitting, so that the work posture is still applicable until now. So, from a wrong sitting position, and if done repeatedly, it will become a habit and then you will experience pain in spine, joints, etc. Because they feel pain in the spine, so that when doing activities, performance drop or productivity drops. Then, what are the solutions to reduce work risks? We can make an assessment using an ergonomic risk complaint assessment and the work posture method, which will result in a score from which score can be carried out or immediate handling or intervention. The objectives of this tutorial are: first, able to apply the NBM questionnaire to find out complaints about body pain. Second, able to apply methods using REBA, RULA, and KISI to reduce work risks. And then, knowing the level of risk of body posture when doing work. And the last is able to provide recommendations based on the results of work posture analysis. Input and output of this tutorial. Input of the tutorial are: first, demography of operator, second is NBM questionnaire, and then KISI questionnaire, then screen capture video during the process of work activities, and the last is body angle. The output of this tutorial are: first, Nordic Body Map questionnaire results, second, score REBA, RULA, or KISI, and then analysis of workload and posture, and the last is work posture recommendations. Next is the material of work posture. Work posture itself can be interpreted as the position of the worker's body when doing work activities that are usually related to the design of the work area and task requirements. Next, CTDS is a cumulative trauma disorders. It is injury to the musculoskeletal system that gradually increases as a result of a small trauma that is continuously caused by the use of tools or system working body movements in an abnormal positions and tools or hand tools or other tools that are too often. The cause of CTDS itself is: first, insufficient rest to restore joint trauma, and then stiff joint movements that are not in the normal position, then repetition of the same movement continuously. The prevention of CTDS itself are: first, engineering control, it is job redesign, workplace redesign, tool redesign, automation, and workplace accessories. And then second is administrative control. It is scheduling, work rotation, training, exercise, job career change. And the last is personal protective equipment. Next, we move to Nordic Body Map. Nordic Body Map is one of the measurement methods to measure the muscle pain of workers. NBM functions to identify the parts of the human body that feel sick, which have been divided to 9 main parts. It is the neck, shoulders, upper back, elbows, lower back, wrist, waist, knees, and heels or feet. Here is an example of the NBM questionnaire. There is the location of body parts and maps of body parts. Then there is a level of pain where A means no pain, B means moderately pain, C means painful, and D means very painful. Work posture analysis method. There are several methods that can be used for analysis of working posture. It is REBA or Rapid Entire Body Assessment, RULA, Rapid Upper Limb Assessment, OWAS, Overall Work Posture Analysis, PEI, Posture Evaluation Index, KISI, and PLIBL. But in this tutorial, we only learned 3 methods. It is REBA, RULA, and KISI. Types of work movements. Abduction is a sideways movement away from the central axis, the median plane of the body. Adduction is the movement towards the center axis of the body or the median plane. Flexion is a movement in which the angle between two bones is reduced. Extensions is a stretching motion where there is an increase in the angle between two bones. Hyperextensions means that there's been excessive movement of a joint in one direction or straightening, or it is looked up. Hyperflexion is when a joint is flexed beyond its normal range of motion or bow. Pronation is the rotation of the middle into the limbs. It is face down. Supination is a sideways rotation towards the exit of the limb. The first method we will discuss is REBA. The part assessed in REBA method is the whole body and measured in 3 conditions. It is lifting, carrying, and putting. Types of work assessed in REBA is static and dynamic, posture change rapidly, and loads in the form of inanimate objects or living objects that are often. Next, we go to how to measure REBA manually. In the measurement of REBA manually, there are 2 postures, A and B. The first posture is A. In posture A, we measure angle on the neck, angle on the back, and the foot. On the foot, we observe the use of both feet and determine the angle of the leg that bends. After getting a score from all segments of the body in posture A, then look for the total score using the table. After getting the total score from the table, the score is added with the load score, where the load score is adjusted to the weight of the load lifted and will be obtained the final score of posture A. After calculating the score on posture A, then calculating the score on posture B, where in posture B we will calculate the score of body parts, which is the upper arm, forearm, and wrist. After getting a score from all segments of the body part B, then we determine the total score using the table. After getting the total score, then summed up with coupling score. Coupling score is based on the handle contained in the load lifted. After that, will be obtained the final score of posture B. After getting posture scores A and B, then we look for the final score of REBA using table C. After that, we will get the final score and the classification. From the classification can be given recommendations for improvement of activity. Next, we go how to measure RULA manually. The assessment part of RULA method is upper limb, it is hands, wrist, elbows, shoulders, also neck and waist, posture and trunk. Then, on RULA also determine the right, left, or both parts of the body to be assessed. Types of work assessed in RULA is workers sit or stand without moving places or static. Example of suitable activities using RULA such as activities that use computers, manufacturing, and cashier activities or administration. In the RULA method, the part of the body to be observed and assessed is the angle on the neck, the angle on the upper arm, the angle on the forearm, and the angle on the wrist and fingers. In the measurement of RULA manually, there are 2 postures, A and B. The first is posture A. In posture A, we measured the angle on upper arm, the angle on the forearm, and the angle on the wrist and fingers. After getting a score of all body segments in posture A, then performed the calculation of the total score of posture A using the tables. After getting the total score, it will be summed with muscle use score or the number of repetitions of movements performed and summed with the load score, where the load score is adjusted to the weight of the load lifted and later will be obtained the final score in the posture A. After calculating the posture score A calculation score of B will be performed, where in the posture B we will calculate the body part score of the angle on the neck, the angle on the back, and the position of both legs. After getting a score from all segments of the body in posture B, after that will be done the calculation of the total score of posture B using the table. After getting the total score will be summed with muscle use score or the number of repetitions of movements performed and summed with the load score, where the load score is adjusted to the weight of the load being lifted, and then we'll get the final score on posture B. After getting the posture score A and B, then we look for the final score of Lula using table C. After that, the final score will be produced along with the classification. From the classification can be given recommendations for improvement of activity. Next session is a calculation using software. The first is REBA calculation using ErgoFellow software. After we determine the body angle of the activity, the first step we do is to open the ErgoFellow application and choose REBA. Fill in the assessment sheet starting from neck, trunk, and legs based on the previously measured angle. Click Load, then click based on the mass of the load being lifted. Click upper arm, forearm, and wrist. Then click according to the previously observed activity and the operator's body position. Click the coupling according to the classification of the coupling on the lifted object. Click the activity and tick it according to the observed operator activity. And the last, click the results. You will get the final score and classification. From here, you can see what the classification of the activity looks like so that recommendations can be given. The second is Rula calculation using ErgoFellow software. After we determine the body angle of the activity, the first step we do is to open the ErgoFellow application and select Rula. Fill out the assessment sheet starting from the upper arm. The checklist corresponds to the angle that has been observed and calculated previously. Then, click the lower arm, click the angle of the forearm according to the results of observations and calculations that can be done previously. Click on the wrist, then click according to the position of the operator's palm from the observations that have been made. Click the wrist twist and click the position of the wrist rotation according to the observations that have been made. Click the neck, then click according to the angle of the operator's neck according to the observations. And then click the trunk, click the angle that corresponds to the angle of the back of the operator being observed. Click legs, select the foot position that matches the operator's foot position. Then, click muscle use and load. Choose the one that suits the operator's activity. And finally, click on the result. The final Rula score will come out and you can see the classification. From here, analysis can be carried out and appropriate recommendations can be given. KC method. Next is KC method. This method will combine the assessment of workload and the researcher and the operator from the results of their assessment and an explanation of the risk level or score for the back, shoulder or arm, wrist or hand, and neck associated with a particular job, and show whether the ergonomic intervention is proven effective with score ups and downs. The type of work in KC method are: first, whole body used in this method, static and dynamic posture, job change rapidly and can involve vibration aspects in the work. The work to be assessed using this KC method doesn't involve in measuring the operator's overall angle in the assessment. The KC method is carried out by interviewing the operator. Next is an example of an assessment sheet on the KC method, where there are several body segments to be assessed and other questions. The body segment that is assessed in KC is first the back, the second is the wrist. Then, after getting the results of the interview, it will be entered in the recapitulation table as in the slide. After creating a recapitulation table, the score of the activity will be determined. Please note, if the activity is a static movement, then the score numbers is 1 until 4, and if the movement is dynamic, then the score number is 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6. After getting the score, then determine the classification based on exposure level. Then the classification of each element will be known. Then the summation of the score from all segments of the body, and will be done the calculation of exposure score using the formula as stated on the following slide. Please note, for dynamic movement activity, then the Xmax is 176, and for static movement, then the Xmax is 162. After that, exposure score and classification of the activity will be obtained and can be given recommendations in the form of appropriate improvements based on the slide. Alhamdulillah, that's all for the materials. Thank you guys for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.